Alrighty, g'day there everyone. Daniel Anderson here. Thanks everybody. For those of you that are joining me live, jump into the comments. We are live on LinkedIn and via YouTube as well. So let's get cracking. Look, we're going to take a look at a new feature rolling out. Microsoft 365. It might not be available in your tenants yet, so it is gradually rolling out, but that is the ability to request files from SharePoint. Now, I've had this feature in OneDrive for Business for quite some time, and now it's been rolling out to SharePoint. So we're going to take a look at that, how we go about setting things up. I've had a lot of questions since posting here on LinkedIn about the feature rolling out, just about why isn't it available for you, how we set it up. There's some prereqs and some things that need to be done prior to making that available in your SharePoint sites. But there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of use cases around this. It's been a feature that a lot of people have been waiting for a long time. So let's dive in and have a look at what we do to set it up, make sure we've got the tenant settings and the sharing settings and everything like that set. And then we'll go through the process of what it actually looks like to request files and then how somebody actually uploads those files into that folder. Okay, so if you aren't already subscribed to the Modern Work Collective and the Microsoft 365 Boost newsletter, so that is a daily email that I do send out with videos or training content or use cases, news, announcements, features, all of that type of stuff every single day. Head over to modernworkcollective.io, pop your email address in there, and you can start receiving that as of this afternoon, my time. So I'm here in Melbourne. That'll be around about, between about 4 or 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So head over there, pop your email address in, and every single day you will get this type of content delivered directly to your inbox. Okay, let's get things started. First, we're just going to have a little bit of a high-level overview and rundown of what this feature is, what it can, what it can't do, and that type of thing. Once again, if you are on LinkedIn or on YouTube, I do have the comments up. So if you want to join in the conversation, jump in, pop your comments in, and then we can engage that way as well. So what is this feature called file requests? So as I said, we have had it in OneDrive for a little bit of time now, but it has come to SharePoint. So what we can do is we can choose a folder where others can upload files to using a link that you send them. All right. So we generate a link, we send it out via whatever means, and the people that have that link can upload files. They can't see the content of the folder though. So that's really, really important. You might send this link, think about situations where you're requesting maybe job applications or RFQs or RFPs or that type of process. We don't want other people to see everybody else's submissions, for example. So that is there by default. They can't get to the site. They can't do anything else. They can just see that folder and the files that they have uploaded. Okay. So how we go about enabling this feature. Now, there are a few little things. So it is only available, and I've had a number of questions about why this option isn't available in particular SharePoint sites for people. Now, you obviously do need to be using OneDrive for Business or work or school accounts, so it is tied to that. The admin does need to enable, and this is something that needs a little bit of discussion, I guess, in your organization, is you do need to have the anyone links for SharePoint enabled. All right. So we need to enable that. I know a lot of organizations don't allow that and don't enable that. And that needs to be enabled. Okay. The admin also needs to configure the view, edit, and upload permissions on the folders for the anyone links. When we'll jump into the SharePoint Admin Center shortly, and we'll have a look at where that is and where you turn that on. A couple of other, and that's really all there is to it. Okay, so we can set it at a site-by-site level as well. So it doesn't need to be available in all sites. We can allow and disallow this feature in certain sites if we need to as well. So that's something that's very, very handy for us. We don't have to open it up to everybody. Now, there's a few more points here that I will point you to just to consider as well. In the current state, so as of recording and this right now, which is the 10th of March, 2023, if you disable anyone links for SharePoint in the admin center, then the ability to turn on this feature is also disabled at the site, SharePoint, and OneDrive level. So across the board, if the anyone links for SharePoint in the admin center is not at that level, okay? Newly released features, as I said, might not be available to all tenants yet. Okay, so it is gradually rolling out. Every tenant that I've been in over the last week or so has had this enabled. So if you haven't, then that could be a potential reason why it just hasn't hit your tenant yet. So if anyone links are enabled for SharePoint, the feature for SharePoint, and this is an important point, will be enabled by default. If you don't want the file request to appear, you can opt out of this. It does require some PowerShell or a little line of PowerShell, the set SPO tenant, and the property there is core request files. Link enabled is true or false. All right, so we can turn that to false, and then we can turn that off if we need to. Okay, that's it. Let's jump in and have a look. So I'm in the SharePoint Admin Center, and this is where the anyone links settings need to be set. Okay, so we can see here that SharePoint Admin, under policies, under sharing, we've got our external sharing settings in here. Now, it doesn't have to be set for the OneDrive. Okay, so this is the slider that we need to concentrate on here, and that's the SharePoint. It needs to be set to most permissive, which is the anyone link, the anyone option. Okay. Now, if we scroll down the page here a little bit further, you can see that we've got some more sharing things that we can set in the SharePoint Admin Center, and you can see here the file and under file and folder links. This is the default setting. So again, a little bit of a side topic here, but a lot of organizations don't want, if you do have the anyone link enabled, then a lot of times we don't set that as the default, because that means, when people are, they might be rushed, or they're not thinking about it, or they just forget and they just hit the send button. It is an anonymous link. All right. So just something to consider on your default settings there is to potentially use something outside of the anyone link. We can see here to choose the permissions that's selected by default for the sharing links. And we can also see here, and this is the other point around sort of the prereqs here to make this work, is this option here. So we can see that we've got folders, and we need to give the view, edit, and upload permissions here. Okay. So again, sometimes different organizations have it set to view only for those links, but we need to have that to view, edit, and upload. Okay, so once we've got all that set, and we'll save that at that level, then that's at that level. Okay, so we're all good to go. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'll just jump into OneDrive for Business as well, and I'll just we'll just have a look at that section as well as SharePoint. So we can see here I'm in OneDrive for Business, and I can, for example, select a folder, and you can see I've got this request files button up the top here. So that's in OneDrive. It's been there for some time. Now, if we flick over to SharePoint, then it's a similar experience. Okay. Now, the first thing I'm going to do actually is I'll jump into active sites first, and I might let me jump into this HR site. All right. So let's just have a look at the document library in this Ask HR site. And I'll jump back into the sharing settings of this Ask HR site here. So we can see here at the site level here, so this isn't the tenant level, this is just at the individual site level. We've got the external sharing settings at the site level. We don't have the anyone option chosen here. So if I go into the site and I go to, let's just call this request files. We'll click create. We've got this folder now. Now we don't have the option here for request files. All right, that's because that anyone option at this site level hasn't been enabled. Now, if I jump over into this site here, which is this RFQ site, I'll jump back into the SharePoint Admin Center. And let me just filter by date created. We'll go newer to older. We'll jump into the RFQ site. We'll go to sharing. Now we can see here that at this site level, I have got anyone, the anyone link or the anyone external sharing option enabled at this site level. So we'll jump back to the site. I've already got this folder called file requests created for us. So if I then select this folder and I click these three little dots, we can see that I've got this option here called request files. Okay, so that's similar to what we've got in OneDrive. Now we've got this option in SharePoint. Now, when I click request files, this is where we give this a description, and this is what appears in the email that gets sent. Okay, so let's call this request. Let's just call it RFQs. Okay, so we'll just go RFQ for Microsoft 365 migration. That'll do us. Okay, so here we can see that recipients will only see the file description you've entered and can only upload files into this folder. So they can't access the site, they can't access any other folders or files in this document library, only this folder. So we'll click next, and here is where we can send this file request. So we can either copy this link, and I have seen and spoken to different customers and clients where they've actually copied this and put this in, their email signature or something like that, where it's just a click and people can automatically upload files into a location. Or you can send it by email. Okay, so we can type out an email address and then we can send that across to a particular person via email as well. And that's the option we're going to choose here. So I'll choose an email. You can see here, we can add another. So what we might do is I'll send it to two different accounts. Okay. Let's go, and then we can see what the difference will be. So I'll type in different accounts like so. So we've got two, and then we'll send this across. So that's going to send those two email accounts a link, and I will just grab those accounts. We'll wait for those links to come, the emails to come through, and that's just popped in now. So what we can see here, and I'll drag this across to the window, this is the email that's just come through here. So you can see that Megan has sent a request for RFQ, and that's the description that we popped in before. Okay, and we can now click upload files. Now, when I click upload files, you'll see that I'm taken, and this, there's a question that's come through also, do they need to have a Microsoft account? No, they don't, because this user doesn't have a Microsoft account. It's just a Gmail account. It's an ordinary account. And it's because it's anonymous and it's anyone, we don't have to have an account for this process on the other end. Okay. So now what we can do is we can select files. So we click on select files, and we can upload our documents. So I'm going to select a document. I'll just use a Word document. You can see there's the document name. Now what I'm going to do here is I will pop in first name, last name. Okay, so we've got the file name and we've got first name, last name. We can add more files if we wanted to as well. All right, so it's not just a singular file. Okay. and we can click upload. So we can see here that we are uploading and that has now been complete. Now, if I pop this back across, I'm going to go back into this file request folder now. And what we can see here is that file has now come into that folder. It's been prefixed with the first name and last name that was entered into those two text boxes, and also the file name. All right, so the prefix of first name, last name, and then the file name comes into play there. Now, I emailed another person another email as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just on my phone. So I am going to use my mobile phone now, open up the request on my phone. It's going to open up in the browser. Okay, so it's opening up in the browser, and we can see here that I've got the option to select files, and I can select from. This is really bad live, but I can select from my device's camera roll, or I can choose files off my device as well. Now, or I can also take a photo. So what I'm going to do here is I will take a photo, and that we're going to use this photo like this, and I am going to fill out my name. So I'll put in my first and last name like we just saw before, and I will upload that file. So that's now uploading. And what we're going to see in this library, and let me just give it a refresh. We'll see in this library now, we've got an image. Now you can see that I've got first name, last name, and there's the file name of that particular image. I took a photo live. If I open that up, there's the photo, and there it is in that folder. And it's prefixed with that person's name that entered into the first name and last name field. Okay. And we can see there as Megan, who I'm logged in as there, can see all the files, but the people that are uploading just can't access anything else. Okay. So just to show you what that looks like, if let's say I bring this user's browser back across. Here's the site in question. All right, so let me just paste the URL of this site, and I will enter that in like so. And you can see that we've got access denied to the site itself. All right, so from a permissions point of view, that user or the users don't have access to anything else outside of that folder. Okay. Now, a couple of questions have come through. Let's have a look at this question. I will show this up. Will they be added as guest accounts in the tenant? No, they won't, because it's anonymous. They're not actually interacting. They're not creating an account. So no, they won't be added as guests. Sensitivity labels and other questions come through. Labeling sensitivity be applied. Well, they are in the SharePoint site. So depending on the configuration, etc., of your site, of your tenant, etc., if you've got all that enabled, then yes, they will be able to come under any of that labeling policies that you do have. Any limits? Another question that's come through here, any limit on file extension types? Not that I have seen. That's controlled by the SharePoint, obviously the SharePoint side of things. So you are adhering to the SharePoint file functionality there as well. Okay. Now, Neil, good day, Neil. How you going? Nice to see you. Is there a Graph API or Power Automate connector that can be used to perform a request? That is a very good question. I haven't investigated that. I've owned from the Power Automate side, only from an automation to notify people about files being uploaded, because that's another point as well. When a file gets uploaded into here, we have to go and check that things are happening in that folder. So another little tip and another little thing that that I've set up for others as well is just a little notification Power Automate flow that whenever something new's added, we just send a little notification or a Teams message or something like that. But in terms of a connector to actually perform that request, I haven't seen one. There might be. I'll check that after this session as well, and I'll let you know via comments as well. But good question, because that would be a very handy thing to be able to do. Okay, very good. They're all the questions that are coming through at the moment. So if you are live, feel free, pop some questions in there, and I will do my best to answer them. If I don't get to them or answer them right now, then I will follow them up. So that's basically all there is to it. So we went through the settings earlier, just about what needs to be set before we can enable this. Now, the other thing that you can do as well is we can enable or disable request this feature or this functionality on a site level. Okay, so if we let me just open up Notepad here, and what I will do is, let me just grab my command here. So if we wanted to enable or disable on a site-by-site basis as well, there is we need to check a couple of things. So we need to check this here. So request files link enabled equals true. Okay. If it is set to true, then if we want to block it, then we need to obviously change it to false. Okay. So what we need to do to run that is this command here. So PowerShell, we need to set the SPO site, pass in the identity of the URL, and we can request files. We can flag this to true or false. So that will enable or disable on a site-by-site basis as well. Okay. So if we wanted to programmatically do that, then we can also do that. And another really good command here, which might be worth investigating as well, is the expiration in days. So we can set an expiration time period on that link expiration. So rather than leaving that open forever, we can set an expiration date on those links as well via PowerShell. All right. Okay. That's all I've got for you today. Nice short one, but it is a great feature. There's a lot of interest in this. I've had a lot of questions about enabling this, use cases, a lot of financial institutions, for example, and the options there when you need to, if you're working with customers or clients, where you need to quickly get them to upload files. So think of, I don't know, accountants or, those type of service-based industries where you need that type of functionality. A lot of times, a lot of organizations are using third-party applications or services to be able to provide that, dare I say, Dropbox type of functionality to make it nice and easy. Now, what I like about this is that it is really easy. You don't have to have an account. Somebody doesn't have to log in and create a Microsoft account or anything like that. They can just get sent a link, even from their mobile phone that we just saw before. They can upload files or photos or things like that from there as well. And the onboarding and the use for the end user is nice and easy. And for you, as the person that is requesting those, we can see nice and easy who those files are coming from, and then we can take action on those as well. Okay. Now, there is a couple more questions, or one other question that's come through. Can we set up a limit on when the link will expire? I think I just answered that just before. So with this little, we can set expiration time periods in days on those expiration links in days. So we can pass that in and then we can set that there. Okay. Let me just pop up another question. Since the links are anonymous, anyone with the link can upload. That is correct. Yes, that is correct. Anyone with that link. So if you send that link to somebody, they can forward that on, and it is anonymous, and people can, anybody using that link can then use that to upload files. That is correct. Not tied to an account, which I'm assuming that says receive the email. That's right. Yeah. So they are anonymous links. Correct. So it isn't tied to the people that you send it to. That's different. I mean, that's just the anonymous functionality inside of Office 365 or Microsoft 365. That is not, if you set specific the sharing settings to specific people, then that's tied to that account. But with anonymous links, which this is using, no, it's not tied to the particular account that you send it to. Okay. All right. Let me take this off. And I will wrap things up there. We're just about on the half-hour mark. So for those of you that are watching live, if you're not subscribed to the daily newsletter as well, head over to modernworkcollective.io, pop your email address in, and sessions like this, not as long as this, but things like this are delivered to your inbox every single day. Now, I will be doing these sessions on a weekly basis live, so we can have some interaction live on the screen as well. So there will be opportunities also for you to come on stage, ask questions, and we can have a conversation throughout there as well. Interesting question come through as well. GCC will also receive this feature potentially, but probably at a later point in time, I would imagine. I haven't seen it on the GCC roadmap, but I will have a look at that as well, and I can get back to you. If you just ping me. That's just come through as an anonymous LinkedIn user. So if you want to hit me up on LinkedIn, shoot me a message or ping me there, and then I can follow that up and I will let you know about that too. Also, I will, just before I jump off, every Sunday, I do also send out a roadmap update. So I will go through the Microsoft 365 roadmap and then send that out every single Sunday. It's usually, 7 or 8 handpicked items of the last week that I will post out and send that out as well. So jump over to modernworkcollective.io and pop your email address in, and you'll get that every single Sunday, in addition to all the other training and stuff that I do send out. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your questions. As I said, this will be a weekly occurrence. So if you're not following on LinkedIn, hit me up on LinkedIn, hit the bell, or in YouTube, hit the bell and follow as well, and you'll get alerted to any more sessions that I do during the week. So that's it. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you next time.